بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وينفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما ربي زدنا علما ربي زدنا علما. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Hadith number 4 of the chapter, second chapter, Bab-Birrul-Um, the chapter of kindness towards our mothers. The second hadith of that chapter on page 48. حدثنا سعيد بن أبي مريم قال أخبرنا محمد بن جعفر بن أبي كثير قال أخبرني زيد بن أسلم عن عطاء بن يسار عن ابن عباس رضي الله تعالى عنه قال أنه أتاه رجل فقال إني خطبت امرأة فأبت أن تنكحني وخطبها غيري فأحبت أن تنكحه فغرت عليها فقتلتها فهل لي من توبة؟ قال أمك حية؟ قال لا. قال تب إلى الله عز وجل وتقرب إليه ما استطعت. فذهبت فسألت ابن عباس رضي الله عنه لما سألته عن حياة أمه؟ فقال لا أعلم عملا أقرب إلى الله عز وجل من بر الوالدة. So this hadith, we started discussing this hadith, and there are some points that remained to be discussed. So we'll go back to this hadith right now and look at this hadith a little closer. Just to refresh everyone's memory, the incident that occurred in this hadith was an ajib and somewhat strange incident. What happened was a man came to Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu. And when this man came to Ibn Abbas, he said that I propose to marry a woman. فَأَبَتْ أَن تَنْكِحَنِي, but she refused to marry me. And as life would have it, وَخَطَبَهَا غَيْرِ, someone else proposed to her. فَأَحَبَّتْ أَن تَنْكِحَهُ, she was pleased with the suitor, she was pleased with the lad, the young man. فَغِرْتُ عَلَيْهَا, I became very jealous. فَقَتَلْتُهَا, and as a result of that jealousy, I murdered her, I killed her. فَهَلْ لِي مِن تَوْبَةٍ, he's asking Ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhu, is there any way for me to gain the forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? قال, Ibn Abbas says, أُمُّكَ حَيَّةٌ, is your mother alive? قال لا, he said no, she is not. قال تُب إلى الله عز وجل, he said do tawbah to Allah, repent to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَتَقَرَّبْ إِلَيْهِ مَا اسْتَطَعْتَ, and however you can, as much capacity as you have, gain closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فَذَهَبْتُ, this man, the narrator of this incident, who's watching the whole scene, who is that person? Who is that person? Those who have the kitab? Ata ibn Yasar. Very good. Ata ibn Yasar. He's the one narrating this incident. So we know now that this incident did not happen in seclusion, because Ata ibn Yasar is there and he sees the whole thing. Let's keep this in mind. فَذَهَبْتُ فَسَأَلْتُ Ibn Abbas, he says, I went and I asked Ibn Abbas, لِمَا سَأَلْتَهُ, why did you ask him an hayati ummihi? Why did you ask him, is his mother alive? He just came to you and told you he killed a woman out of his rage and jealousy, and you're saying, is your mother alive? And the amazing response from Ibn Abbas, amazing, absolutely amazing response. He says, لا أعلم, I do not know of any action أقرب إلى الله عز وجل, that will bring you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than showing kindness to your mother. Amazing, absolutely amazing. Now, before we go into the hadith again, we spoke about it last week, but there are many things we missed, so I want to get back into this hadith, inshallah. But before we go back into this, let's look again, a glimpse of who Ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhu is. Abdullah ibn Abbas. Now, we also spoke about him being which relation did he have to which wife of the Prophet? Abdurrahman.
Well, he was a nephew of one of the wives of...
Yes, which wife? Yep, you were about to say it. It was on the tip of your tongue. I saw you were about to say it. Anyone? Remember? Maymuna radiallahu ta'ala an. So because he was the nephew of Maymuna and also the cousin of the Prophet ﷺ, this gave him the ability to come behind hijab and come into the house of the Prophet ﷺ to learn about the actual life of the Prophet ﷺ inside the house. And we spoke about this before. We spoke about the fact that he was born 3 years before Hijrah. Only 3 years. So when the Prophet ﷺ passed away, how old must he have been? 12 or 13 years old. It is narrated that he was very beautiful. Very, very handsome. Him and his brother, anyone know his brother's name? Fadl. You may know Fadl from another incident. Fadl radiallahu ta'ala anhu one time was on the camel with the Prophet ﷺ. They were doing Hajj, and a young woman is passing by, and Fadl also was known for his looks. Very handsome. So, as the hadith tells us in Muslim, that Fadl started looking and she started looking. So the Rasul ﷺ puts his hand on the head of Fadl and turns his head. One narration says that first he covered him and he starts looking. So the Rasul ﷺ turns his head. What do we learn from this? We learn a lot of lessons from this. We have to stop munkar. The Prophet ﷺ was shari'. What he did, his words, his actions, whatever he did became sharia, part of our deen. So it was impossible for the Rasul to see an action happening that was forbidden and not say anything about it. So because of that principle in usul, we learn that the sukut of the Prophet is actually an order. What do I mean? The silence of the Prophet in an incident is an order in and of itself. Because silence is a form of approval. And especially in the sense of the Prophet ﷺ. So Fadl and Abbas radiallahu ta'ala, Ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala were very, 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 very handsome young men. He passed away in the city of Ta'if. We all know the city of Ta'if. The city of Ta'if where the Prophet ﷺ went for tabligh to spread, and he was rejected from the city. He passed away at the age of 71. Now looking back at the incident, we see what happened. A young man or a man comes to Ibn Abbas. Ibn Abbas was the mufassir of the Quran. And we spoke about his efforts and the struggles he went through to learn knowledge at a very, very young age. There's one story I wanted to say last week, didn't get the chance to say it. So very quickly, when he was a young boy and the Sahaba were many around, he went to one of his friends and he said, let's go to all the Sahaba, let's learn the deen, because they won't be here forever. So his friend says, do you think people are going to come to you for knowledge? All these great scholars and mashayikh are around. So he did not accompany him. Later he had much regret when he saw the position of Ibn Abbas later. So we learned that we should have a friend that helps us in our good deeds. But when our friends don't want to help us in what we want to achieve, then we have to go forward and do our objectives. So Ibn Abbas gained much knowledge through his sacrifice as a young age. He would go, and I'm not sure if we touched upon this last week, he would go and any Sahaba he heard knew a hadith, he'd go to their house and sit on the doorstep and wait. He's the nephew of the Prophet ﷺ, but he would not knock at the door and say, Fulan, so-and-so, I'm here to learn from you. No, he would sit there in the blazing sun with the sand blowing in the city of Medina. And he would wait for that person to come out before he would ask him that question. One of the Sahabi, he went to their house and he was upset that you should have woken me up. You should have called for me. So he said, no. Ilm is something we should go to. Ilm should not come to us. Knowledge is such a grand thing that we should go to knowledge. Knowledge should not come to us. So he said, okay, if that is the case, give me your hand. He took his hand and kissed it. He said, this is how we were ordered to treat the family of the Prophet. So both of them, look at the adab they're having for each other. One is saying, I won't even knock at your door and disturb you, even though I'm the Prophet, the nephew of the Prophet ﷺ. And the other is saying, give me your hand so I can kiss your hand, just because you are the nephew of the Prophet ﷺ. So now looking back at this incident, we see that a man comes after committing murder, homicide, killing a woman out of rage. He comes and he states what he did to Ibn Abbas. And we spoke last week at the calmness of Ibn Abbas in this scenario. And we spoke about how if we were in the same situation, what we would do, the rage we would have. Now, one point to make notice of. This is a case where the order of Allah now should take precedent. What do I mean? We all know, Islamically speaking, someone commits murder, homicide, then there is the had on this person. Capital punishment should be applied. But he's alive. He's alive and coming and telling Ibn Abbas about the situation. So what does that tell us happened? And he's not saying it quietly. There's a gathering. Ata ibn Yasar also heard the incident. So what do we learn must have happened before he came? He's not dead. And Ibn Abbas did not do anything about the had. Something must have happened before this incident. What was it? Think about it.
Payment of ransom.
Payment of ransom. The blood money, for sure we learn the blood money must have been paid. Because the had is the hudud of Allah. No one can wipe away a had. No one can take away a had. The had is the haqq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if he had not paid the ransom, there is no way this case could have been brought before Ibn Abbas radiyallahu ta'ala an. But at the same time, as everyone in the media and nowadays likes to talk about this concept of stoning and these things in Islam, there's two things we need to understand. Those who study crime and punishment, they will be the first to tell you that there are certain principles when establishing punishments to crime in order for a crime to be effective. In order for a crime to be effective, anyone studying these fields, they would know better than me in these fields. But a lot of us have misunderstandings about what does it mean to establish had in Islam. Do we understand that in the case of had, if all of the witnesses are there and all of the judges agree that this should be the punishment for this person, everything done in court, do you understand that according to Sharia, both of the janazas should be prayed at one time? The murderer and the murdered should be prayed their janazah at one time. In this country, a person will sit on death row for 80 years, you'll pay the taxes to feed him. Recently an incident occurred, the person's overweight. He's appealing that I should not be killed now because I'm overweight, the punishment will be painful to me. It won't be administered fast. So I'm appealing, you should not be killing me. He sat on death row for 40 years being fed by our tax money. Sharia says that the capital punishment is so swift with the order of the judge that the janazah of both of them should be prayed at one time. Do we understand the ingenious of our Sharia? Here, a person says, should I kill this person or not? I'll sit in jail. I'll get my conjugal rights. I'll get food. I'll get this. They may give me cable too, if I'm in a federal prison. And I'll get food. 40 years, I'll kill him. Islam says, no. You kill him. Before we put this person in the ground, you will be also executed. As a result, murder drops. As a result of our community, murder rises. Stealing. How brutal Islam is, na'udhu billah. Cutting off the hand of a person that steals. Here they tap your wrist. As a result, everyone steals. If it's a blue-collar crime, they just tap your wrist. Don't do it again. What happens? Everyone gets courage. Nothing's going to happen to me. It's my first time anyway. They'll wipe it off. But the situation on our environment, my ustaz for Muslim, he grew up in Medina. Sahih Muslim, my ustaz. He grew up in Medina. He says to us, Wallahi, when the time for salat came, the vendors would leave all the jewelry out and go and salli in haram. And come back to their shops. No one stole. For two reasons. Either they feared Allah or they feared the swift punishment of the government. But in both cases, the objective was achieved. To take away crime. To rid the environment of crime. This is the beauty in Sharia. But unfortunately, when we don't know the Sharia, and all we know is what CNN just told me about hudud, had, then unfortunately I will think it to be brutal and oppressive. Barbaric, exactly. But when you know the exact conditions, so many times, if you read the books of fiqh, there are conditions for hadd zina. Hadd zina. If a person confesses to this sin, then that is enough for his hadd. But if no one confessed of it, you need 4 witnesses. What kind of witnesses? What did they see? People going into the house together? Same room? No. The actual act. Do you know how many times in the history of Islam 4 witnesses of this type have actually been brought forward? You can probably count on your hand, if any. This is the beauty of Islam. But these points, if we don't know them, then anyone can portray Islam to be however they may deem it to be. So, we know from this incident by Ibn Abbas calmly and collectively talking to this man, we know that he must have paid off the blood money already. This is what ulama tell us about this incident. So let none of us think that he got away scot-free and he didn't do anything. For sure he paid the ransom money. 100% sure he paid the ransom money. But at the same time, we read in the Quran, وَإِنْ عَاقَبَتُمْ فَعَاقِبُوا بِمِثْلِ مَا عَاقَبْتُمْ بِهِ وَلَئِنْ صَبَرْتُمْ فَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لِلصَّابِرِينَ. As much as people like to speak about the hadd, which Islam speaks about, they do not look at the other aspect where Islam says, وَلَئِنْ صَبَرْتُمْ, that if you're patient, فَهُوَ خَيْرٌ. Islam is constantly encouraging us that we forgive the next one. That we forgive that person. Not that we establish this hadd. So in this situation, we see that his relationship with this person. Now another thing. How do we as a general body feel towards criminals? This person is a criminal. He's a murderer. Now imagine a murderer. He killed an innocent woman. And he comes to you with a pure heart. You don't know what's in his heart. Saying, I really want forgiveness. What is our outlook on criminals? Or these types of people in society? How do we feel towards these people? And what does the Quran say about these people? وَيُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ. What's the ayah? وَيُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ miskino. They feed poor people, orphans, and asira. Who's asira? prisoners. وَيُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ مِسْكِينًا وَيَتِيمًا وَأَسِيرًا. That a good quality of a mu'min is that he feeds the poor, the orphans, and Allah says yasir, asir. He feeds the criminal. We do not hate a person for an act he does. We hate the act itself. We don't hate a person for an act he does. And the proof to that statement is this. We hate kufr, disbelief in Allah. We hate when people say Allah has a son. But if 2 minutes later a person walks in front of us and says, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh, what do we all do to that person? We hug him. We shake his hand. We love him. This is proof. We do not hate the person. We do not hate individuals. A person commits a crime. Okay, he committed a crime. He received the punishment. But we love the individual. And when we love the individual, then you can be a well-wisher for the person. You can give nasiha to the person. You can try to help him. Because you will see him a victim of his own crime also. So the Quran and this hadith is teaching us how to deal with those who are criminals. A lot of us would like to keep them as far away from us as possible. And we read the story in the hadith, everyone knows this, where a person killed 99 people. We all know the situation. Well, what happens when you close the door of forgiveness to the person? The person found out what happened. He killed him too. We cannot close the door of turning back to Allah for people. We have to keep the way of going back to Allah open for everyone, no matter what crime they committed. Now the next thing I would like to take our attention to is the fact that Ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhu says to him, Tub ilallah. Seek tawbah from Allah. Tub ilallah. قال tub ilallah azza wa jal. Tawbah. What is tawbah? We need to discuss this point very quickly. What is tawbah? Imam Nawawi, rahimahullah ta'ala, he states in Riyadh al-Salihin, he says, At-tawbatu wajibatun min kulli dham. First and foremost, we need to understand tawbah, seeking Allah's forgiveness, tawbah. Tawbah is wajib for every sin. The first thing is, tawbah is wajib for every single sin. Now, this is going to break down into categories. Those making charts or making notes, we're going to break it down into categories now. فَإِنْ كَانَتِ الْمَعْصِيَةِ بَيْنَ الْعَبْدِ وَبَيْنَ اللَّهِ. If the sin is between a person and his Lord, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there are 3 conditions for this person to do tawbah. So, if the sin is just between the person and Allah, there are 3 conditions. 3 conditions. Number 1, أن يقلع عن المعصية, عن المعصية, that you cut off the root of this sin. You stop that sin. You get rid of that sin at that time. Meaning, you can't be doing the sin and asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness. No, the first condition is to stop the sin. يقلع. قلع يقلع means to actually rip something out of from the roots. So to take out the source of this sin. That's the first thing, that you stop the actual sin. Number 2, the second condition. Number 2, أن يندم على الفعلها. The second condition is that we have remorse for this sin that we have committed. You have to have this feeling inside that I hate this sin that I just did. I hate that sin. Second condition is that we have remorse for that sin. And number 3, the final condition for tawbah is أن يعزم ألا يعود إليها أبدا. That the person makes firm conviction that I will not, inshallah, commit that sin again. Firm conviction that I will not commit that sin again. Now, Imam Nawawi says now, if one of these three conditions is not there, lam tasih tawbah, the tawbah is not accepted. So these three conditions of tawbah. Sheikh, three conditions of tawbah. Yeah, behind you. Yeah, no, you. Yes. One, just give me one. He got the last one. Very good. Firm that you don't want to do it again. Min janibik. Next to you. Mu'min's brother. I only know Mu'min, so his... Yusuf. Second condition of tawbah. Sheikh. One of them. One of them. Iqla' an al-ma'asi. To give up the sin. And what last one?
First one is we can't do a sin and ask for Allah.
Okay, we got that one. What's the second one? He got the first one. Next one?
Second?
Yeah.
We have remorse.
Remorse. The young boy, mashallah. Very good. What grade are you in? Allahumma zid fazid. Mashallah. So we have all three sins. All three conditions for this tawbah. What are they? Very quickly recapping. Number one, we give up the sin. Number two, we have remorse for the sin. Number three, we make firm intention, I will never commit this sin again. If we have these three things, and the sin was between me and Allah, your tawbah is accepted, inshaAllah. This is it. Let's go forward now. Second category. وَإِنْ كَانَتِ الْمَعْصِيَةِ تَتَعَلَّقُ بِآدَمِيٍّ. Now, if this sin is actually connected to another person, you backbited him, you stole his money, you did something to him, you pushed him, you cut him off in the line for food, something like that. You saw him looking at that piece of roti, but you're just like, I didn't see you, man. I'm sorry. You were about to throw the food in the garbage and Morfani was standing right there? No, astaghfirullah. Jazakallah. May Allah reward you for everything you do for us, inshallah. So let's continue. فَشُرُوتُهَا أَرْبَعَةً. If this is the sin, then the shurut, the conditions are four. Four. It's easy though. You know why it's easy? The first three are the same. The first three are the same. So there's four conditions if the sin is between you and another person. The first three are the same. The fourth one is أَنْ يَبْرَأَ مِنْ حَقِّ صَاحِبِهَا. Yani, whatever the haqq that he has of you, that you have of him, you have to get rid of that haqq. Give it back to him. If it's ghiba, you spoke bad about him, without him knowing, you have to ask his forgiveness. You have to ask his forgiveness. Now, question. Do you have to go up to him and say, brother, yesterday me and Marfani were backbiting you, so can you please forgive us? No. You don't have to do this. And don't do this. Don't do this. You'll create more fasad. You'll create more fitna. You ask him generally. Just generally. That brother, we're all insan. Can you just forgive me for whatever I did? If I did anything to you? Please, brother. But don't go and tell him, yes, yesterday, 5 o'clock, me and him, we said this. Because once you say, we were talking about you, next question. What'd you say? Tell me. What'd you say? No. And once you tell him, no, get out of my face. You want forgiveness from me? Go. That's our nature. This is our nature. The other thing is this. It slipped my mind. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. I'm sorry. Okay. So we do not have to tell the person for the exact thing that we were talking about, but we should ask a general forgiveness from this person. And for those being asked forgiveness from, remember, أَلَا تُحِبُّونَ أَن يَغْفِرَ اللَّهُ لَكُمْ. Won't you love? The Quran says, أَلَا تُحِبُّونَ. Don't you like that Allah will forgive you? أَلَا تُحِبُّونَ أَن يَغْفِرَ اللَّهُ لَكُمْ. How many times do we disobey Allah? This person slipped up, did something wrong, he spoke bad about you. Maybe he didn't even speak, but he heard something and he didn't stand up for you. So, أَلَا تُحِبُّونَ أَن يَغْفِرَ اللَّهُ لَكُمْ. If you love for Allah to forgive you, we should always be forgiving. One of the scholars said, amazing thing, amazing. He said, do you know why I forgive every person that did anything to me, any Muslim? Because on Yawm al-Qiyamah, our beloved Prophet, who made dua for every single one of us, will be hurt by seeing any mu'min go to hell. I do not want to be the cause of hurt for the Prophet ﷺ. So I forgive everyone. I do not want to be the cause of hurting the Prophet ﷺ, so everyone is forgiven. Ah, yes, it came back to me now. Alhamdulillah. Somebody really wanted to know that. Next. Astaghfirullah. Astaghfirullah. Ah, okay, yes. When you forgive someone before it goes, do you have to tell him that I forgive you? Okay, there's two opinions and two approaches to this. If you tell the person every day, every third day he comes to you and says, bye, brother, akhi, forgive me. And you say, okay, yes, I forgive you. Tuesday he comes, hey, can you forgive me? Yes, yeah, I forgive you. Wednesday, Thursday, Monday he comes back to you. You're noticing that this person is sinning, doing this sin regularly. He's asking you. So you can also forgive him and tell him, no, I don't forgive you. Why? Our point is to stop him from doing this sin. If he has enough jur'ah, courage, and he keeps, oh, he'll forgive me anytime, then it's okay to say, no, brother, please, I don't want to talk to you about this right now. Let me think over it. You forgive him in your heart. Forgive it, let it go. But to prevent him and make him realize the vastness of this sin, sometimes it's wiser to tell him that, no, let me think about it, brother. So that he has remorse for this sin. So, these are the conditions. If the sin is between you and another person, you have his wealth, you cannot seek his forgiveness until you give that wealth back. You spoke about him and when he's not around you, then you have to ask forgiveness for that thing. We have to remember one thing about backbiting, that backbiting is for both the listener and the speaker. It is a very grave sin. And to be as one who actually accepted Islam, I'll tell you, to know that there was a sin for backbiting was a thing that made me think Islam was very beautiful. Because I imagined a whole community where no one's backbiting. Because it's a big sin. So this is a sha'air of our deen. And when people hear like, wait, you're not allowed to talk about someone? Wait, wow. Everyone does that. And if you listen to our non-Muslim associates, all they do is talk about people. But you should stand up for truth. Let's not talk about him. He's not here. He can't defend himself. It's their right. You should stand up for that person. So now, the next topic I would like to discuss. Tawbah is done. Tawbah is done. In this situation, we see that Ibn Abbas, when faced with this circumstance, he found a way out for this person. The person came with a problem. I did this bad deed, and now I'm stuck. What do I do? Now, based on this narration, ulama say that this is the right of people upon scholars. That when you come to a scholar, after having some tight circumstance, that he should try to find a way out for you. A halal and a proper way out of a problem for you. As we see he did in this hadith. But the same person will narrate another hadith narrated in Muslim. And Abu Dawood. قال كنت عند ابن Abbas. One tabi'i says that I was with Ibn Abbas one day. فجاءه رجل. A man came to him. فقال له, he said to him, إنه طلق امرأة ثلاثا. He said, I gave my wife 3 talaqs. I gave my wife 3 divorces. Meaning, can you find a way out for me? Can you give me a fatwa that gets me out of this? Can you help me out now? I'm stuck. This is what he's asking. فسكت ابن عباس رضي الله تعالى عنه حتى ظننت أنه رادها إليه. The person narrating says, he stayed so quiet, I thought he was actually going to give a fatwa that no, she goes back to you, 1 majlis, 3 or equals 1, all that stuff. We're not going to get into fiqh at all today. ثم قال, then Ibn Abbas turns to him. He says to him, يطلق أحدكم فيركب حموقه. He goes, one of you goes off and does يركب الحموقه, يعني he does something totally insane. He's an idiot, basically. One of you goes off and does something totally insane, totally stupid. ثم يقول, then he comes and says, Ya Ibn Abbas, Ya Ibn Abbas, oh Ibn Abbas, help me, help me. He goes, وَإِنَّ اللَّهَ تَعَالَى قَالَ وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا. Allah says, if you fear Allah, Allah will find a way out for you. وَإِنَّكَ لَمْ تَتَّقِ اللَّهِ. You didn't fear Allah. فَلَمْ أَجِدْ لَكَ مَخْرَجًا عَسَيْتَ رَبَّكَ. There's no way out for you. You're stuck. She's divorced. وَبَانَتْ مِنْكَ إِمْرَأَتَكَ وَإِنَّ اللَّهَ تَعَالَى قَالَ يَا أَيُّهَا النَّبِيُّ إِذَا طَلَّقْتُمُ النِّسَاءَ فَطَلِّقُوهُنَّ لِعِدَّتِهِنَّ. So what happened in this situation? The man made a mistake. Who knows what was going through his mind? He divorced his wife. 3 talaqs. Done. Situation is finished. He comes to Ibn Abbas. Please, bye. I was mad. I don't know what happened. What can I do? Ibn Abbas gets upset with him. And what does he say? You come to me, Ya Ibn Abbas, Ya Ibn Abbas. Oh Ibn Abbas, please. He says, go, get out of here. So what do we see in this situation? The opposite of the first. In this situation, he didn't do the same thing he did in the first. He didn't say, someone goes, you kill someone, and now you want forgiveness, go. No, he helped the person out. In this situation, what happened? There are different situations, of course. There are different situations. But we see his way of handling the situation also is different in each situation. He wasn't soft with this person, because this person was looking to cut corners. This person was looking, how can I get around the Sharia? He was straightforward with him. But the person who made a mistake and now wants tawbah, he's very naram, soft, compassionate with him, and helped him out. So we see both ways of dealing with when someone does a wrong action. What do we learn again from this incident? Now, let's look at what actually happened in this story. A young man, there's a woman, he likes her, he proposes. And amazingly, he's not married to her. He only proposed, yet his jealousy led him to such an extent that he murdered her. It is for this exact reason why Islam emphasizes so much the strictness on male-female relationships prior to marriage. This incident is strange at their time, but it's common practice today. Murders out of rage and jealousy because of someone's boyfriend or girlfriend doing something. Now we as Muslims understand that a person, in the case of his family, his actual wife, that if something happened, then this jealousy and rage is justified. And even in this society, they may plead temporary insanity. Temporary insanity, I lost my mind, for a husband and wife. But he's not even engaged to the woman. This is the nature of the love placed between man and women. This love is very, very strong. وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَهُمْ مَوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً. Allah says, between the two we have created a strong love. The thing we have to understand is there are 2 qualities inside a human being which have very strong potential power. Love and hate. Love and hate pushes people to insane levels. Have you ever seen a man in love? What are you saying?
Yes.
Shh. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Do we all know Layla and Majnoon? Layla and Majnoon. Layla was a young woman who Majnoon fell in love with. His name was Majnoon, crazy. He was only called Majnoon because he was crazy over Layla. Layla was of a dark complexion. And every time he would see the night, he would remember Layla. Every time he would see a black dog, he would remember Layla. He walked around kissing the walls of the city because Layla lived in this city. Huh? I can't hear it. This is the nature. This was Majnoon. This is the nature of man. Islam recognizes this nature and controls this nature and protects us from this situation. How many times will a young man say, after committing some act or some murder in some situations, yes, but she was mine? The same thing he's claiming. Brother, you weren't even engaged yet. You have no right to be angry. But this is the nature of muhabba and love between al-mar' wal-mar'ah. And this is why Islam so strongly prohibits and is against premarital relations. Because what it leads to is the society we live in today. That's what it leads to. And this is a clear example. And the funny thing is, it's happening at their time, but we have better examples before us all day, but we don't take lesson from those. We don't take lesson from those examples. So it's actually ajib that this person had this much jealousy even before, if she accepted, okay, let's take it to the next level. Imagine she accepted his engagement, and then later she broke it off. One of us here might say, she was wrong. He fell in love at that time. Even then he's wrong. But this is before that. And he murders her. Islam recognizes the fact that the love between man and woman is a real power, if we can use the word for it. Islam recognizes, it's not taboo. Islam recognizes that something happens chemistry or physically between two individuals when they interact. And when that happens, there's an emotional reaction to this chemistry. And many times when there's obstruction in between that, men go crazy. And then when they do something wrong, they plead temporary insanity. The funny thing is, now the government in many places will accept the plea of temporary insanity. Why? Why would they? Because they're recognizing the powerful nature of the love between a man and a woman. They're recognizing the power between that connection. We have to be very careful. And we have to stay within the lines of Sharia if we want to preserve and protect our families, and if we want to preserve and protect our society. We have to stay within these bounds. So this is a lesson for us. This is a deep lesson for us in this story and in this situation, especially for the youth of today. Those in high school and college, they should take lesson from this and learn that this is not something to play with. Love and hatred is a very strong force. The next thing we need to address here, this can refer to everyone, young and old, is we see here in this hadith that this man was captured and forced into action by a power behind him, a force. That force in this hadith is jealousy. jealousy. In Arabic we say hasad. Hasad.
Hasad is envy.
And jealousy also.
Jealousy, ghira.
غير, yes, exactly. But there, one is عام, one is يعني مخصوص من. واحد منهم عام والآخر مخصوص من. لا بأس إن شاء الله في الحديث غيرة صح؟ نحن نتكلم على الجلسي الآن إن شاء الله. So, what is this jealousy? Let's talk about this thing. This is very important. As we say in the Quran, من شر حاسد إذا حسد. وفي الحديث, the Prophet ﷺ has said, الحسد يأكل الحسنات كما تأكل النار الحطب. That jealousy eats up your good deeds the same way fire eats up wood. Another hadith of Rasul ﷺ is that دَبَّ إِلَيْكُمْ دَاءُ الْأُمَمِ, that there has come to you two sicknesses from the previous nations. الحسد والبغضاء, jealousy and hatred. والبغضاء هي الحالقة, and this hatred is حالقة, it shaves off. لا أقول حالق الشعر, the Prophet says لا أقول حالق الشعر, I'm not saying it shaves off hair, ولكن حالق الدين, it shaves off your entire religion. لا تدخلون الجنة حتى تؤمنوا ولن تؤمنوا حتى تحابوا, that you will not enter Jannah until you believe, and you will not believe until you love one another. Another hadith, the Rasul says clearly, لا تحاسدوا ولا تقاطعوا ولا تباغضوا ولا تدابروا, that don't be jealous of one another, don't cut each other off, don't hate one another, don't turn your backs to one another. You see him coming, let me go this way really quick, he's going to talk to me, I don't want to talk to him. لا تدابروا, the exact wording, تدابروا, turning your back to someone. What does the Rasul say? وَكُونُوا عِبَادَ اللَّهِ إِخْوَانًا, become ikhwan, brothers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what is this jealousy? Let's look at this jealousy. What actually is this jealousy? Jealousy is rooted inside a quality called greed. Lalach, we say in Urdu language. Greed. الشح في العربي. شح. طمع. صح. طمع. سامحني. طمع. It is rooted in greed because why are we saying that this is rooted in greed? Because a greedy person is normally greedy with what's mine. I have money and I don't want to give it to you. I'm greedy. You can say that. But the person who's jealous is greedy with the gifts of Allah. Can we imagine this? You're jealous of Fulan. Why? Because Allah gave him this gift. Allah gave her or him good looks. Allah gave him or her knowledge. Allah gave him or her izzah. Allah gave him or her wealth. And we have this jealousy burning inside. Who are we jealous against? We are actually upset with the decree of Allah. Because it was Allah who decreed for him to have this thing. But you in your heart are saying, why does she have it? She doesn't deserve that. So you are actually upset with who? The decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is a very, very wicked and bad quality. That if we see this quality inside of us, we need to try our best to rid ourselves of this. And the amazing thing, if we look, who was the first jealous person ever created? Qabil, second. MashaAllah, Allahumma zid fazid. He's the second. MashaAllah. First, Aqil. First jealous person. Shaitan, there we go. His jealousy is what prevented him from following the order of Allah and doing sajda to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why'd you create him? Why is he so important? He's made out of dirt. I'm made out of fire. Hasad. The first jealousy. And second, Qabil. Allah accepted this gift Why did you accept this gift? You didn't accept mine. Jealousy. And what did he do? He killed him. Jealousy. The amazing thing about jealousy is, as one Arabi Dihati says, مَا رَأَيْتُ ظَالِمًا أَشْبَهَ بِمَظْلُومٍ. He says, I have never seen, this is actually an amazing statement. He says, مَا رَأَيْتُ ظَالِمًا أَشْبَهَ بِمَظْلُومٍ مِنْ حَاسِدٍ إِنَّهُ يَرَى النِّعْمَةَ عَلَيْكَ نِقْمَةً عَلَيْهِ إِنَّهُ يَرَى نِعْمَةً عَلَيْكَ نِقْمَةً عَلَيْهِ. He says, I've never seen an oppressor that resembles, it's very hard to translate this actually. He says, I've never seen an oppressor more oppressed than the person who's jealous. Every time you get more, he gets hurt more. Every time you get more, he's hurting. He's hurting. He hates you have money, you get more, he's hurting. He's hurting. He hates your popularity, the people talk about you, he hates it. He hates it. So he's doing zulm by being jealous of you. But he's mazloom, oppressed by his own jealousy. So in actuality, the amazing thing about jealousy is it only hurts the jealous person. Jealousy only hurts the jealous person. It doesn't even affect the person who he's jealous on. You can be as jealous as you want, it won't hurt him a bit. But when you're jealous of him, the more he gets, it hurts you inside. Why do you get that? Man. What are some signs of jealousy?
Like if somebody has toy and you don't, then you can jealous of it.
Yeah, but what's a sign? How do we notice jealousy? Like, obviously jealousy isn't written on our foreheads that, I'm a jealous person. There are certain actions that people do. Greedy, that's one. There's a more clear sign. One of the clearer signs is that when a person does not like to hear praise of that person which he's jealous of, he'll do whatever he can to negate that praise. He'll do whatever he can. Someone's talking about how Aisha is so good in school. Yeah, but she does this. Yeah, but she does this too. This is a sign. This is a sign that this young girl has a disease in her heart. And this disease is called jealousy. Very bad disease. A very, very bad disease. There are two types of jealousy. Before that, I would like to share one story with you from the hadith. Beautiful story. We can take great lesson from this story. You know what? We'll say this story last. Before we do that, let's get into the types of jealousy. And then we'll get into the cure of jealousy. And then I'll give this story. Two types of jealousy. One is halal, one is haram. Two types of jealousy, those who are writing. Al-awlad. Two types of jealousy. Allowed and haram. The allowed jealousy is called ghibta. Ghibta. What is the definition of ghibta? When you see a ni'mah on someone else, you like the ni'mah for yourself, but you don't want it to be taken away from him. This is okay. This is ghibta. You see someone is whatever ni'mah he has, you wish you could have that too. But remember, this ghibta should only be kept to deen. We should never have ghibta over someone's dunya. Never have ghibta over someone's dunya. So this is permissible. What is the proof of this permissibility? Hadith. لا حسد إلا في اثنتين. رجل آتاه الله مالا فسلته على هلكته. ورجل آتاه الله الفهم العلم. آتاه الله العلم. فهو يعلم به يعمل به ويعلم به الناس. This hadith says that there are two jealousies that are allowed. To be jealous of a person who has wealth and spends it in the path of Allah on his family, and to be jealous of a person given knowledge of deen, and he practices it and he teaches it to others. These are two examples of permissible jealousy. But we don't even call this jealousy. This is called ghibta. Remember this. Now, what are the cures for jealousy? Cures for jealousy. Cures. There's two cures. One is based on knowledge, one is based on action. One is based on knowledge, one is based on action. 2 cures for jealousy. The one based on knowledge. The jealous person should understand that his jealousy only hurts himself. It doesn't hurt the one he's jealous of at all. In fact, you're benefiting him more because you're giving him good deeds. As you backbite him and everything, you're giving him good deeds. So the first thing is to recognize that jealousy does not hurt the one that you are jealous of. First thing. And then to understand that it's actually hurting your deen. Why is it hurting your deen? Because these are the gifts of Allah. And by you objecting to this gift being given to this person, you're objecting to the decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah decreed for this person to have this wealth. Allah decreed for this person to have these looks. Allah decreed for this person to have this knowledge. And you're upset with it? It's hurting your own deen. And how does it hurt your worldly life? How does it hurt us here in this world? It gives you grief and worry. Jealousy gives you so much grief. Why? Because when you see such and such person ride up in that new car, you're burning up. It's destroying the peace of heart. When you see that person, someone speaking good about him, it burns you up inside. So the first cure of jealousy is the one of knowledge. What's the cure? What's the cure? To realize that this jealousy only hurts you. First cure. First cure of jealousy. The second cure is based on action. The hardest of them all. This is the hardest, by far. And when you try it, you'll realize how hard it is. Force yourself to do the exact opposite of what you want for this jealous person. You hate the fact that everyone talks so nice about this person. Force yourself to openly talk good about this person. Force yourself. In the beginning, it's going to be kota, as we say. Fake. Totally fake. You're forcing yourself. Oh, such and such? MashaAllah, muttaqi. Very good. Inside you're, I hate this guy. I hate this guy. I hate this guy. Oh, he's so wealthy and he gives his money out. Kanjush admi. He's so stingy. But you're forcing yourself. Jabr. Force yourself. Once you start talking about the good of this person, slowly it will create a love in your heart for this person. Once that love comes, jealousy will go. Anyone jealous over their children? No. Because you love them too much. In fact, you want them to get more. You'll put yourself down for them because of the love. So in order to get rid of the jealousy, force yourself to talk good about this person. Now everyone knows. When you see someone talking good about the person, yeah, you're jealous of that guy, aren't you? Yeah, I was in that halaqah too. I know what you're doing. Yeah, I don't like him either. Let's all talk good about him. But imagine the society. Everyone's talking good about the people they're jealous of. Amazing. Amazing. So this is the no questions because we're running out of time. This is the cure for jealousy. 2. Knowledge based in action. Knowledge, you're only hurting yourself. Action, force yourself to talk good about the person. That will create a love in your heart slowly. Once the love comes, then you won't even hate the person. Now I'm going to share a story with you, narrated and in the books of hadith. That we'll go through the Arabic very quick and then we'll do the translation. قال Anas radiallahu ta'ala anhu states, كنا يوما جلوسا عند رسول الله صلى الله. This is not in the book. عند رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. One day we're sitting with the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم. فقال يطلع عليكم الآن من هذا الفج رجل من أهل الجنة. Imagine this. Put ourselves there. They're sitting in a majlis. The Rasul Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم says to the gathering, right now from that door, a man of Jannah is going to walk through that door. Can you imagine? Okay, keep going. قال فطلع رجل من الأنصار. One of the Ansari brothers came through the door. ينفذ لحيته من وضوئه. His beard's dripping with water from wudu. And قد علق نعليه في يد الشمال. He's carrying his chappal, his na'alay, his slippers. His beard's dripping with water, he's carrying his chappals. Regular guy. There's no entourage, nothing. Water's dripping, carrying his slippers. Amazing. فَسَلَّمَ, he came, walked in. Assalamu alaikum. Walked in. فَلَمَّا كَانَ الْغَدُ, the next day, قال صلى الله عليه وسلم, the Prophet ﷺ says to us, we're all sitting again, مثل ذلك, he says the same thing. There's going to come a man in the door, and this is a man of Jannah. فَطَلَعَ ذَلِكَ الرَّجُلُ, so that same man came into the masjid again. وَقَالَ لَهُ فِي يَوْمِ الثَّالِثِ, he said the same thing on the third day. 3 witnesses from the Prophet of Allah that you're going to Jannah. What is this guy doing? What's he doing? Let's keep going. فَطَلَعَ ذَلِكَ الرَّجُلُ فَلَمَّا قَامَ النَّبِيُّ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ, when he stood up, تَبَعَهُ Abdullah ibn Amr ibn As. When the majlis was over, Abdullah ibn As, Amr ibn As, he got up and followed the guy. Abdullah ibn Amr ibn As. He gets up, following him. فَقَالَ لَهُ إِنِّي لَحَيْتُ أَبِي. Abdullah says to the guy, he's like, man, I got in a fight with my dad. فَأَقْسَمْتُ أَلَّا, I took an oath, أَلَّا أَدْخُلْ عَلَيْهِ ثَلَاثٍ. I took an oath that, I'm not going to go in the house for 3 days. I just got in a fight with my dad. I took an oath I'm not going into the house. فَإِنْ رَأَيْتَ أَنْ تَأْوِينِي إِلَيْكَ حَتَّى تَمْضِي ثَلَاثَ فَعَلْتَ. He goes, could you just let me stay at your house for 3 days? Do you mind? فَقَالَ نَعَمْ. He says, come, let's go. فَبَعْتَ إِنْدَهُ, he stayed with him ثَلَاثَ لَيَالٍ, for 3 days. فَلَمْ يَرَاهُ, this is the amazing part. I hope everyone's paying attention. فَلَمْ يَرَاهُ يَقُومُ مِنَ اللَّيْلِ شَيْئًا. He says, I stayed with him 3 nights. He didn't get up for tahajjud 1 night. Didn't get up. Slept straight through. غَيْرَ أَنَّهُ إِذَا انْقَلَبَ عَلَى فِرَاشِهِ ذَكَرَ اللَّهُ تَعَالَى. SubhanAllah. He says he never got up for tahajjud, but when he's laying in his bed and he would turn over, he'd be doing dhikr. When he's turning over, while he's sleeping, Allah, subhanAllah, Allah Akbar, la ilaha. As he turns over. Can't get up for tahajjud, but as he rolls over, la ilaha illallah, subhanAllah. Ajib. وَلَمْ يَقُمْ لِصَلَاةِ الْفَجْرِ. I actually did not want to say this part, but it's the hadith, I have to. He says he didn't even get up for Salat al-Fajr. He didn't get up for Salat al-Fajr. I'm killing myself right now. Who knows why? You don't know his excuse. قال غير أني ما سمعته يقول إلا خيرا. He goes, he didn't get up for Salat al-Fajr except, I never heard him say about anyone or anything except something good. Whenever I was with him for 3 days, he only spoke good things. Let's keep going, we're almost done. فَلَمَّا مَضَتِ الثَّلَاثَ. When 3 days pass, وَكِدْتُ أَنْ أَحْتَقِرَ عَمَلَهُ. And I was this close to saying, this guy doesn't do anything. احتقار يعني احتقار معناه يعني حقير سمجنا in Urdu, sorry. In English we would say to belittle someone's action. I was thinking he doesn't do anything. I was close to saying that, he said. قلت, he says, I said to him, Ya Abdullah, O slave of Allah, لم يكن بيني وبين والدي غضب. Me and my dad didn't get in a fight. There was no fight. ولا هجرة. There was no, I didn't leave his house or nothing like that. ولكني سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول كذا وكذا. But to tell you the truth, I heard the Prophet say this about you. فأردت أن أعرف عملك. I wanted to know what you do. How'd you get that certificate from the Rasul? فلم أراك تعمل عملا كثيرا. He's like, I didn't see you do anything. You don't do much. This is for us. This is for us, brothers and sisters. What do we do for deen? What do we do? This is beautiful. فَمَا الَّذِي بَلَغَ بِكَ ذَلِكَ. How how did you get to that level? You're not doing anything. فَقَالَ مَا هُوَ إِلَّا مَا رَأَيْتَ. He's like, bye. What you see is what you get. This is what I do. فَلَمَّا وَلَّيْتُ دَعَانِي. When I turned around and started leaving, he called me back. فَقَالَ مَا هُوَ إِلَّا مَا رَأَيْتَ غَيْرَ أَنِّي لَا أَجِدَ عَلَى أَحَدٍ مِنَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ فِي نَفْسِي غِشًّا وَلَا حَسَدًا على خير أعطاه الله إياه. He says, I don't do anything, but you know what? I have no rancor in my heart or any bad feelings in my heart towards any Muslim for any ni'mah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given him. That's it. قال عبد الله فقلت له هي التي بلغت بك. He says, that's the action that got you to that level. That's the action. He doesn't do much, but he doesn't have jealousy over his Muslim brother, and he only speaks khair. And for this simple person, for 3 days in a row, the Rasul is giving a certificate of Jannah to this person. And as you see, he didn't even stand for tahajjud. This is for us, brothers. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq. It's time for salat. Inshallah, we'll have questions, inshallah. May Allah give us tawfiq to realize this. Any jealousy we have, I gave you the cure. The cure is given. Now you have to use the medicine. No one will force medicine down your throat. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب